What is up, my beautiful people? Hope you're having a fantastic day. Exile451 here with yet another daily dose of Reddit Happy. Happy Friday, everyone. You made it through the work week. Let's kick off the weekend by going back to r/AskReddit for some stories I'm sure you'll enjoy. No commentary until the end as usual for AskReddit, so just sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Alright, so the question was, people who are happy and successful today, what was the lowest point in your life? I know this is probably going to sound depressing, but I'm sharing this with the hope that anyone going through a low point right now can see that there is hope. Dropping out of high school because I haven't passed a single year in it, spending the next few years figuring out what the crap I was going to do. It was tough and mentally exhausting. I didn't go out much, I didn't eat much, I didn't do much. I wanted to spend as much of my mom's money as possible. I would scrape up quarters to go to McDonald's to get some food. My doctor told me I was malnourished. I had a BMI of 13.5 at the time. All that time, I was focused on one thing, and that was programming. I knew it was either focus all my time on getting as good as I possibly can at programming, build a portfolio and get a job in that field, or work some dead-end McDonald's job for a long frickin' time. While I'm not successful in terms of like a successful businessman who is, let's say, 40 years old, I would consider myself successful for my age, and I'm only working my way up from here. Professionally, my first year out of college, easily. It was during the recession, and unemployment was consistently around 8 to 10%. I went from doing cancer research at 21 to being a telemarketer at 22. I left that after 6 months, worked a respectable yet modest corporate role at a different company for the last 5 years. I studied a bunch of certifications over that 5 years and landed my dream job 3 months ago. And then a comment on that same answer, I had a similar situation. I finished graduate school right at the tail end of the recession, and jobs were hard to find in my field. I landed a job in my area of study, but it was temporary with no benefits. I think that would have been fine. I was glad to just have something. But it was pretty apparent that everyone except my direct supervisor didn't want me there. It was like they went out of their ways to exclude me from things. Even personal news like retirements and babies being born. I was a non-person and no one seemed to really value my work. I made peanuts and had a crappy car that was falling apart. I wasn't making ends meet, period, and went into thousands in credit card debt. I was in a new city and had a hard time finding friends despite repeated efforts, so my personal and work lives were both a mess. Jobs are few and far between in my field, and I started applying to anything and everything after 6 months with no luck. I started getting depressed and developed a drinking problem. I questioned why I'd gone to grad school and had talked myself into thinking it was a huge mistake. I finally took a job at a call center just to get out of there. 6 months later, I landed a full-time permanent job in my field and things completely turned around. The new job was the exact opposite. I dug myself out of debt and even got myself a brand new car. It was like flipping a switch. Compared to some of the stories in this thread, it's a softball, but it sure was hard when I was going through it. I grew up pretty poor. By the time I was in high school, life became a string of evictions from one crappy apartment to another, resulting in homelessness immediately after graduation. I spent a summer living out of a 1986 Grand Marquis with busted air conditioning and no idea how I was going to even eat from one day to the next. Never mind get myself out of that situation. After some months, I got a job, got a crappy apartment. A few years after that, I wrote a book, sold the novel in a 2-book deal. Not a huge amount of money, but when you're poor, the amount it takes to be life-changing is pretty low. Eventually, I used that money to move from my small town to New York City. Fast forward to today, I have a good job, great friends, I've traveled to places I never dared dream I'd get to. I don't have to worry about where my next meal is coming from or how I'll afford to pay rent or bills. I am much happier than I ever expected to be at this point in my life. That said, I've learned that life never just evens out. There are peaks and lows. The challenges are just different. Your heart gets broken, jobs go from secure to shaky, people you love die. The future is never written. Life just becomes a series of adapting to new circumstances, and maybe your prior experience will help you deal with the blows, but there's always something new to endure and overcome. Just because I've had it worse doesn't always make the new pain easier to deal with. It's still pain. I was married to an abusive man. He was in the military and we moved states away. He would call me fat and disgusting. I lost so much weight, I was down to 96 pounds. He would punch me and choke me, kick me, pull my hair out. The last time he beat me, I thought I was going to die. I ended up getting away and ran outside and hid in the bushes. When he got in the car to look for me, I went to the neighbor's house. They helped me get in contact with my family to come get me. I married him out of high school and he chipped away at my self-esteem and prevented me from making any steps towards independence to the extent that I never even had a driver's license. I was 21 when I left. That was 2 years ago. Today, I am on an externship for a medical assistanting program. I only have 3 weeks left. I finished my classes with honors. On Thursday this week, I went to an interview for a medical office that is a part of a major hospital in my area. The interview went really well, and I'm expecting a call this coming week. I have a license and a car that I bought myself. It's been a long, hard road, but everything is paying off. I have an amazing boyfriend now too. He's kind and patient. He would never try to hurt me. I can't believe how much everything has changed. I don't know if I'd consider myself successful yet, but I am happier than I have ever been. I'm a little late to this thread, so probably won't get much traction, but I will be graduating medical school in May. Lowest point was freshman year of college, where I almost failed out of a very expensive university because I could not stop procrastinating and looking at porn. Got D's on my 2/3 exams on a major pre-med requirement and needed to get an A on my last exam just to come out with a C for the semester. Somehow got a near perfect score on the last exam after busting my butt studying over 100 hours for that one exam. Still ended up with a low 2.0 GPA, but over the next 4 years, I busted my chops in order to salvage a 3.5-ish GPA, low for medical school. Because of my poor decisions, I had to take a few years doing research and building up my resume before going to medical school, but I finally made it, and I'll be graduating in May. Being a homeless heroin junkie in my early 20s. Massively depressed, I was a major burden on my family, my friends, and myself. Suffered from a blood clot and had a lobe in my lung removed as a result of my IV use. Wandered aimlessly from town to town, rehab to rehab, trying to correct myself and just couldn't get a handle on anything life threw at me. Got sober in 2014, got married last year, currently have 3 semesters left for my undergrad, and have a baby girl due in August. Things were super rough for a while. Nothing feels as hopeless as being in that situation and literally feeling like you're trapped. When my wife and I lived in a 1-bedroom apartment, and our accident baby cried a lot during the first year. That same year, I worked a job I hated, but couldn't afford to quit. DHS wrongfully accused me of not paying child support. I've never paid in my life, nor did I have sex with anyone but my one and only wife. Debt payments and rent took up 70% of my pay, so we all 3 went to bed hungry, thus making our household part of the working poor. No government benefits available because I made too much. A cousin I'm close to died unexpectedly, undiagnosed birth defect, and my wife hit depression from terrible treatment from the birth doctor. We expected to have a home birth, but my wife woke up one morning covered in blood. She had to have a hospital birth, and this greatly ticked off the doctor. Anyways, to add to this, we had no health insurance, so high costs came out of pocket. One day, I took my pistol, loaded it, and nestled the barrel under my chin. In one pull of the trigger, my nightmare would be over. If it weren't for a phone call while I contemplated my decision, I would have ended it there. 2 years later, I'm selling my company. I have moderate financial means, I have no college debt, and my wife, child, and I are in the best place of our lives. About 10 years ago, I graduated a scam college with 6 figures of student debt that required a 4-figure monthly payment. I couldn't afford the 4-figure monthly payments at the time with my $10 a month job, let alone when I was let go in a town that was dying already. Throw on top of that, I was in love with a woman who didn't feel the same, friends who only seemed to care what my current high score was in the game of the week, and several other things. My future was not looking bright at all. So, I decided I should go ahead and call it. I had set a date about 2 weeks out. I had my note written and the method picked out, but I was going through and giving things away to make sure somebody benefited somehow from my existence. I didn't tell anyone or give away anything that would be a major red flag, like my car, gaming systems, or computer. That was all covered in my note. I was playing a game online with a childhood friend when he said I should come to his city and move in with him. He'd let me stay rent-free until I found a job, and the job market there was pretty good. At first, I said no. I was already pretty set. I had made peace. I didn't even have the money for gas to move down there, yada yada. But he was persistent and caught me on a good day, so I had said yes. I figured if I didn't find a job in 2 weeks, I could just come back and finish up. However, he was right. I found a job in a week, got a better paying one in 3 months, and started a career that not only let me pay the bills, but was a better fit than the one I pursued in college. All thanks to him inviting me down and helping me get started. He doesn't know he saved my life. I've never been able to find the right way to thank him. Well, like I said at the outset, those aren't necessarily going to be all the happiest stories, but they do all seem to end with a happy ending. Everyone there is at least successful in some way in their life at this point, and their stories should serve as hope to anyone who's struggling right now that there is a brighter tomorrow waiting for you. You can do this. Success is just around the corner. You just have to keep at it, and one day, things will line up for you. Thank you all so much for tuning in today, for watching the video, and for doing everything you guys have done to help spread awareness about the channel. It continues to grow, and I cannot express my appreciation to you strongly enough. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you can get more of your daily dose of Reddit happy. Also, the channel is on Twitter and Instagram, so feel free to check out the links in the description below. Now you go out there, have a great weekend. I will see you all on Monday. Until then, I'm Exile451. Stay beautiful, people.